Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. On a spicy day on the timeline these last 24 hours or so. Los Angeles Guerrillas late to a scrim with OpTic Texas last night. Dashy wasn't too happy about it, but it turns out there was a CDL meeting going on. That was the reason why they were late, and some of the other pros think that OpTic should have attended to its conclusion. Very much intriguing your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, hitting that like button is the best thing you can do. To help this channel reach new people, please consider subscribing as well if you have not yet already. Firstly, thought this was kind of cool. The New York guys over in New York City now chilling, like, well, here goes Clayster dropping, you know how it goes. And we also get this, I thought was kind of funny. So Maloney puts out some images of the players, as you can see. I mean, Paco's looking good and ready to go for this upcoming season. But, you know, this also for Bad Emperor, parental advisory, right? The album cover right here for the boys. So they're looking good and getting ready to go for the new season. Of course, if it starts kind of soon, Crimsix is looking pretty cold right here. I imagine it kind of is right now over in New York City. Let's talk about some scrim recaps then for the last 24 hours. This also from, well, Zinni & Co. that we imagine may well be that 12th team in the league, if that is confirmed. I'm pretty sure there was some talk about the fact that Method is saying, like, they're not going to compete in these Challenger Cups coming up. Maybe just because, you know, they want to kind of maintain their status as the #1 Challenger team right now for when this 12th organization does get confirmed into league, whatever that's going to be, if indeed it does. So it's right now, I think it's Methods, it's Paul X, it's Venom, and it's TJ Halley. And, well, this is their result up against London. They win this scrim set 3-2. So definitely a solid, well, a solid team it seems so far. They replayed the Berlin. The London won the second time around. Then also OpTic play Los Angeles Guerrillas. We'll talk about this because before this kicked off, there was certainly some drama around it. OpTic win this one 5-1 in the end, but yeah, certainly there was a lot of controversy before the series even kicked off. Wanted to mention this also because OpTic played Florida in a scrim set last night. CDL Scrim Intel posted out all the stuff. He didn't put out like an overall series like scorecard type thing that we saw for that Los Angeles Guerrillas series, but you can see this first map was pretty comfortable for Florida, but clearly they weren't warmed up here because later in the series they played Berlin again. I kind of put things together right here. It was 6-2 to OpTic. I know you guys kind of enjoy this type of stuff, and the problem is for me, like, I really wish we had like 2Ks or 5Ks or some tournaments going on that the CDL put on between the pro teams that we could actually discuss again which teams are looking the best, what's kind of the early online stuff looking like for these early tournaments, where the teams are ranking up, but all we can really tell off is scrims, right? So that's kind of why we look into this stuff maybe more than I would like to, just because it's really all we have to go off right now to determine how good these teams are going to be for the upcoming season, if we can even do that at all. This then, a CDL Scrim Intel also points out last night, Dashy on LAG being 40 minutes late, and if it was him, you know, what would people say about it? So, you know, some of these guys send us in the background saying, okay, Los Angeles Guerrillas, they're late for this scrim set, what's going on here, right? Like, you know, OpTic are being delayed in this sense, and Dashy goes on to say, look, if it was me, everyone would be talking about it, right? But, oh, this guy's late again, like he's done it again, this type of stuff. Now, it turns out, I would argue, that Los Angeles Guerrillas had a pretty good reason to be 40 minutes late that we'll dive into here in a couple of seconds, but it turns out there was a CDL meeting going on in the background, which overran it quite significantly, and I'm pretty sure the Los Angeles Guerrillas guys thought, okay, it's probably better for us to stay in this meeting and give our thoughts on what the CDL is going to do this year than, you know, actually turn up to the scrim on time, when in the long run, this meeting might be more important than that. But I'll share the clip on what Dashy has to say on this whole situation.
Let's see. Joining up in a sec.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Yeah, what's up with that?
What time is it right now? Well, what time is it?
Late, that's what it is.
I mean, it's not early.
True.
What would happen if it was me showing up late? It'd be World War III.
The end of the world.
Oh my God, he's doing it again. We knew this would happen. Oh my God. Oh my God. We warned everyone.
You're an idiot.
No, LAG though? No, it's cool. What happens?
So I guess firstly, let's discuss the content of this meeting itself. So as SlasheR says, kind of explaining why LAG were 40 minutes late to the scrim, well, we were actually in the CDL meeting discussing the future of the CDL and the 2022 season. So basically saying, look, you guys, you know, you're here for this scrim, which, okay, fair enough, but this is what we were up to was actually more important than that on the surface, trying to get our thoughts through to the CDL and the guys that are actually calling the shots over there. And that didn't necessarily work as they might have intended it to. This is something which occasionally they'll have meetings, right, discussing the future of the league, what they're going to do for the season, and you know, obviously it doesn't always go through in terms of what the players want, because apparently there was some time during this off-season, maybe like even before Champs ended, or shortly after Champs, where the players had their say on what they thought the new season should look like, what some of the changes they want to see is, like all this type of stuff. Now, whether the CDL actually actions any of those changes, I'm not really sure, because I've heard some things that the players have said things, and, you know, people have definitely given their thoughts across to the CDL, and then the CDL's gone in a completely different direction. Now, I'm not not sure whether that's happening this year, but it might be the case just based on what SlasheR was saying of what he kind of heard in this meeting. So as Zero says, for example, we were fighting, brother, like fighting for our cause, fighting for, I don't know, LAN or whatever. Like, it's tough to kind of read into this what exactly they were fighting for, whether, you know, they had some ideas on exactly how the season to be structured, but apparently it didn't really get through to them. Both hands are tied behind our back in that fight, my brother. Odds stacked against us, saying that, like, you know, for whatever reason, the CDL just calls the shots as they see it, and, well, nothing that SlasheR and Trey Zero is going to do, apparently, is going to change their mind on this stuff. But I guess they were trying their best to convince the CDL that what they're currently doing, and maybe we'll announce next week, is not the best thing for the CDL going forwards. As, you know, Clay says this as well, you know, in the replies. Maybe he was in the meeting as well, seeing what was going on. Now, I believe OpTic did also have representation in this meeting. I'm pretty sure Rambo was there. We'll have a look at that here in just a second. I'm pretty sure another tweet from SlasheR. But, you know, this also from Chino, SlasheR World League is back in business. No, it is not. Saying that, like, look, I tried my best, right, to get through to the league or whoever's calling the shots over there, but no one really wanted to listen to what we're saying. No, it's not. I do not claim the stuff that is going on. Legit mind blown. So SlasheR not happy with the decisions the CDL seem to be making, which isn't a good sign for us, because generally SlasheR has a good idea of what's good for the scene and what is not good for the scene. We know the SlasheR World League back in the day when he kind of, well, didn't make all the gentleman's agreements. It was basically a meme, but he was definitely involved in the direction that the pros would at least take with regard to how they were playing the title. Then you know, SlasheR generally has a good idea of how things are going to be good for competitive play, and maybe what the CDL is suggesting here is not a good idea. We shall see, but it's certainly not good to see stuff like this and see the CDL maybe just straight up ignoring what the pro players think is for the betterment of the game, especially guys that have been around for years and experienced the kind of golden days, you could argue, of the CWL. So anyway, this I thought was particularly spicy, really, which is that Simp and Asim kind of discussing the OpTic guys, right? The fact that the OpTic guys weren't there, and I think there was some frustrations, the fact that, like, guys like Scump, guys like, you know, Dashy, these kind of big personalities in the scene for the OpTic side, like, if they were in the meeting, maybe some of the pros think that would give, well, the CDL a greater chance of listening if it was guys like Scump putting forward the same points that maybe SlasheR and the other guys are pointing at. As Simp says right here, they missed the meeting, all good, ... like saying, look, you really shouldn't be missing a meeting like this, because it's very important about the future. So basically saying, look, Los Angeles Guerrillas, no problem, like, they missed it, they were late for the scrim, but that was for the betterment of the CDL in theory. Surely Caldera is a valid reason, all good, right? So saying that, you know, maybe these guys, the Caldera crew, I think maybe Scott was even referring it to as on stream last night, as Momo Bro pointed out, like, you know, they strike again, I'll do it again too, right? Missing the meeting because they're playing Caldera or something. Now, look, at the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily mean they would have got through to the CDL regardless, because, well, Scump goes out to say, well, he kind of responds to the whole situation right here, being like, look, there's really not too much we could have done at the end of the day.
Bro, chat, like, we're getting roasted for the non-mandatory meeting, bro.
So what's your guys' perspective on this situation? We also got this response from, well, Dallas right here. They then don't schedule the scrim at that time and maybe communicate with them just on while that is. And that is also fair enough in the sense of, like, look, if they are going to be late for the scrim, at least let the OpTic guys know, yeah, okay, we're 40 minutes late here, that the meeting is overrun. Like, let the guys know and tell Sender, like, okay, yeah, we're going to be late here. Apologies, lads. The meeting's overrunning, whatever. But it's kind of, well, Rambo Ray apparently was in that meeting as well. So you'd imagine he would have informed the guys, like, what was exactly going on there. Now, some of the OpTic guys, it seems, kind of left when the meeting was meant to end, but the Los Angeles Guerrillas and some of the other guys stayed in that meeting to, I imagine, still continue fighting their cause. I did think this was quite interesting here from Bevels. He put on the Reddit, just for context, the call was scheduled to end at 2, so I imagine that's when they kind of had the scrim set ready to go, but it ran way over then. I left at 2:40, says Bevels, the coach of the Los Angeles Guerrillas, or maybe he was like the analyst, I forget exactly, because Ricky's technically the head coach, I think, but anyway, have no clue how much long it went on after that. They decided to leave at 2, that being the OpTic guys, but the convo that was going on was more important in our opinion. So, you know, I kind of understand that at the end of the day, maybe by the time it got to 2:40, it was too repetitive. I'm not really sure. I don't really know who would have been involved in this meeting, whether Joella Fairies is in there, whether the kind of new head guy at the CDL is in there as well. I forget exactly his name. But, you know, there's a lot of been back and forth really between some of the pros. And definitely the last few days, we've heard these rumors really coming out from guys like Sensor. There's going to be 6 major LAN events. 4 of them are going to be majors. Not all the teams go to the majors. Like, you know, I don't really understand where they got these ideas from. It does kind of make me wonder, like, why have the CDL pros, if they have been, well, conferred with before, how has none of that advice been actioned to the point where now we get to a point where they're having a meeting and the pros still disagree with all the stuff the CDL is doing? Like, it just can't be a good sign that guys like SlasheR and some of the other guys are coming out and talking about this meeting saying, look, it was more important for us to be in there because the CDL's just going down a direction that we don't agree with, therefore, like, we've got to be there to fight our case and try and change these guys' minds on what this actually is a good idea as. And that is one of the issues to me, that a lot of these people that are kind of running the league are coming over from, like, for the example, the NFL, right, or just traditional sports in general, and trying to, well, bring a load of those ideas into the league. And they don't really know the history of Call of Duty and esports in general, and what works better for a scene like this. The pro players do, right? So because it kind of blows my mind that they won't seemingly listen to the pro players on a larger scale than they actually do. And I imagine that's probably one of the reasons why the pros were trying to stay in this meeting as long as they could, to at least make some point to get something changed maybe. But SlasheR still seemingly not particularly happy with the result, as Ake says in reply, how did that meeting go, by the way? A GIF will serve just fine as an answer. And he says, just smile and wave, boys, just smile and wave. So that, I would say, is the big concern. Like, SlasheR doesn't really want to comment on this, but he did say elsewhere, like, mind blown with what they're doing. It's not exactly a great look, to be honest. I guess we'll see next week or something when this gets confirmed, or the CDL might listen to the pros, which with any luck that will be the case, and they might change some things up, and they might even delay the announcement a little bit further. I'm not really sure, but it just seems like every single year at this point, we need to start taking some positive steps in the right direction, especially with how the games are, because if the league itself and the structure doesn't move in the right direction, then this scene's going to continue to be in a tough spot, and I'm sure the pros understand that. So I can understand them being a little bit late to the situation. I guess they should have told the OpTic guys that they were going to be late because the meeting was overrunning, and the whole back and forth discussion I thought was kind of entertaining at the end of the day. But just to throw back to this from a few years ago as well, 3 years ago yesterday now, December the 9th, 2018, this kind of closes off that whole schedule discussion really that we've been having, because it was 3 years ago, as I say, yesterday, that the first event of the Black Ops 4 season was underway. It was in Las Vegas, and OpTic defeated United. It was a cracking event, right? They made some crazy comebacks on Seaside Hardpoint against Splice in the winners finals, and then against United in the grand finals as well, to win this 3-0. This was actually the last time that OpTic as an entity, as OpTic, won an actual event in Call of Duty. Like, Huntsman weren't really on OpTic, and of course OpTic Chicago last year didn't win anything. OpTic Gaming Los Angeles didn't really count anyway, then didn't win anything either. So that's the thing, right? This is the last time technically that OpTic won an event in Call of Duty, which is kind of crazy to think about. 3 years ago, time certainly does fly, but definitely, yeah, simpler times, and also times where the events actually started much closer to the game launch, which surely is a no-brainer. But very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hitting that like button tells the YouTube gods it's a good video, and as like you should see it as well, and help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you much as always, take care, and I will see you next time.